Marcus Rashford is reportedly close to agreeing a new deal with Manchester United. It's expected that Rashford will become one of the club's highest earners on around about £375,000 a week. We'll have a chat about that in just a moment. But earlier on this week, on the Sports Bar, the fun boy Jason Cundy urged United to secure the England international's long-term future.
The season that he's had, and I thought he looked really sharp, actually. Opening 25, 30 minutes of the game, I thought he was England's best player. Terrorised that link-up play down that left-hand side with his Manchester United teammate Luke Shaw, I thought was really good. He looked as sharp as anyone out there. But you can't allow Marcus Rashford to walk away in a year's time, or however long his contract is. You can't do that.
I mean, you have to agree with that wholeheartedly. Manchester United cannot afford to let him go. And the sort of money now that clubs, including yours with Saka, are paying their young starlets, including, of course, homegrown talent as well. That's the going rate. I mean, it seems obscene. I wouldn't say I'm uncomfortable with it because I don't have a problem with any footballer earning any kind of money. They're only going to pay him what they think he's worth. But I just think it would be a catastrophe if United let him go.
Yeah, I can understand that because, I mean, listen, he had a period after the World Cup where he was phenomenal. And I'm talking about arguably one of the best players, if not probably the best player in the Premier League, the most on-form player, looked unstoppable. A little bit shaky before the World Cup, but certainly that period afterwards, he came back and he was electric. And yeah, you're right. I think there's always something about academy graduates coming through a big club, and it's almost like the fans want them to do so well. It's blasphemy if you let them go. Do you know what I mean? Like Arsenal got it with Saka. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying Saka's replaceable because I think every player, unless you're Messi or Ronaldo, I think you are replaceable. We look at Real Madrid. They won the Champions League after Ronaldo's gone. Mm-hmm. But my point is that you just can't let them go. Like Saka, when Arsenal fans look at Saka, they identify him with themselves because he's one of them. And I think when Manchester United fans look at Marcus Rashford, him being from Manchester, him coming through the academy there, I think they look at him and go, we can't let him go. Now, yes, the money is astronomical, but I'm like you. If he can go and get that, fair play to him.
He's only 25 years old.
Exactly.
So he's not reached his pomp yet, right? What is his ceiling?
That's the thing I don't know. And first and foremost, I need to see consistency. I mean, you look at his numbers, yeah, he scored 30 this season, 17 in the Premier League.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, but the season before that, he scored 5.
Yeah.
So
But he looks a different player now, doesn't he?
He does look like whatever's gone on previous, and we know what the outstanding work that he did. Whatever's gone on previous, that's all been put behind him now. And he looks like when he's on the pitch, he is fully focused. Like it's almost like you look at him, and again, the classic example of that was against Arsenal when he scored that goal at the Emirates, where it seems to just come out of nowhere. He got the ball, went past Partey, smash, goal, out of nothing, and he was doing these moments all the time. And listen, if you're gonna have to pay him that type of money, then fair enough. But I think for Marcus Rashford to reach his potential, he needs to be consistent. And when you look at consistency, I know you hate when I bring him up. Look at someone like Salah, for instance. The consistency he's shown since he's been at Liverpool.
Frightening.
People said he had a bad season last season. He still hit 30.
Yeah.
And now he's hit 30, and I think he got 70 in the league. That's matched Rashford's best. Do you know what I mean? So that's Salah's worst. So I think if Rashford can get consistency and do this again next season, then he could be one of the best players, certainly in Europe.
In that position, sort of left of a front three, is he the best in the Premier League?
I think he probably had the best. I'd say Man City fans will say Grealish, he was phenomenal this year. I know his numbers maybe don't match up, but I don't think Grealish is necessarily someone who stat pads. Do you know what I mean? You look at his numbers, you go, well, not great, but you look at the impact he's had where they've just won the treble, and he's been a key component of that. Martinelli was phenomenal for Arsenal, brilliant this season, but I'd probably say maybe Rashford or Grealish potentially, but Martinelli is up there with them as well. Okay.
Let's take a caller, shall we? Jay's an Arsenal fan. Hello, Jay, how are you?
Yeah, good, guys. How are we doing?
I'm good. Happy Friday. What are you up to today?
I'm just going to play some golf, actually.
Oh, lovely.
Okay. Are
you a good player? What'd you play off? Which handicap?
Playing off 16, so bogey golf, basically.
That is good. You're a bit of a bandit, are you, Jay?
My friends say I might be, but at the moment I don't think I am. So, yeah.
A bandit is like you've got a high handicap because you're a much better player.
Oh, okay.
Let me ask you, I don't know if you saw, I think it was yesterday, Rory McIlroy got his first ever professional hole-in-one. Did you see it?
I did, and I didn't see it live, but I switched onto the TV just after it happened, and I was kind of stunned that he's never hit one in his PGA Tour career, so that was kind of a bit weird.
Have you ever got one or come close, Jay?
Absolutely not, no chance. So can't even say it's close. So yeah,
maybe today's the lucky day. Go on. So you're an Arsenal fan. You phoned up to talk about Rashford. Go on, off you go.
I mean, the reason I spoke because I actually spoke to yourself and Cundy a few years ago when he signed his new deal, actually, and there's a big question mark then, because I think he went from about 30 grand to like 280 overnight, and it was kind of like, what on earth's happening here? This is actually crazy. And I agree with Benty in terms of, what have you seen outside of the last maybe year of this contract to say he's worth that step up in terms of the money? Because I don't think for the first 2 years of that deal he pulled up any trees. And another point that I see what you're saying as well in terms about the money, because if you think from 280 to 375 they're saying, it's virtually only going up. What is inflation in terms of actual inflation over the last 3.5 years? So if you're Marcus Rashford, you must be thinking, I'm worth a hell of a lot more than this. And then at what point do you start saying the only place clubs can actually afford to go and pay me is like Saudi Arabia and stuff like that? I just think, where do you start and stop that trajectory when it comes to young player wages, and when do they price themselves out of playing in the Premier League? I don't really know.
The problem Manchester United have in this scenario, and Arsenal had it with Saka, and I'm sure other clubs will have it, is if they let him go, they're going to have to find £100 million there or thereabouts to replace him. And they're already looking to bring in someone like Harry Kane. They're already looking to maybe bring in a Declan Rice, maybe a centre-half, possibly a goalkeeper. So it just adds to the amount of money they're going to have to spend in one lump, doesn't it, if they don't sign him up? Jay? Oh, maybe.
Do you know what it is as well?
He's gone off to play golf.
It's I get what you're saying, that they're going to have to replace him, but there's going to come to a point where like he is very, very good. But if he's asking for 400 and Man United say, no, you're not having that, then Man United are going to have to move on from him. Now, Manchester United are a massive football, they're one of the biggest.
Yeah.
They're back in the Champions League. They can attract who they want.
No, I know, but what I don't understand with contracts, right? It's almost like people involved in football are pretty stupid, right? Because why don't they just have this set deal across all their players' contracts? When you've got 2.5 years left, here's the new one. You either sign it or we sell you now, right? Don't get attached to the player, because then you're going to sell them for the most amount of money.
Yeah, I get that, but that's okay for, say, foreign players coming in. But when it's one of your own...
Yeah, Marcus, you know, it's a business at the end of the day. It's a business, right? You can't make business decisions by your heart.
How much is too much?
What wages or transfer fee?
If he says, I want 400 or I'm going,
nuts.
Would you say pay it?
Well, now he holds all the cards.
Would you get Kane if it meant him going, Rashford?
What, if that was the deal?
Yeah, so Rashford's going, but you bring Kane in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the best number 9 in world football at the moment.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I don't want to see Rashford leave. I love Rashford. I don't want to see him go.
talkSPORT Drive.